Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon from wherever you're joining. Thank you so much for joining our seminar today. So we work for the UNECE, the United Nations Economic Commission to Europe, and colleagues and I are supporting the UNECE Transformative Innovation Network, a peer learning platform and meeting place for policies and practices for transformative innovation. And under this network, we've started a work stream specifically on innovation-enhancing procurement with our lovely lead experts, Lina Svensberg and Jakob Lindvall. It's a pleasure to work with you both, and thank you so much for this initiative and for helping us, create the discussions around this important topic where I see many are interested in engaging in. So without further ado, this is the first of what we hope to be a series of seminars around this topic. So we very much look forward to exploring this with you further. And I'll hand over to Lina and Jakob to get us started. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Manuela, for that introduction. And Lina, do you share the screen?
Yes, I'm on my way.
Perfect. So hi and welcome, everyone. And this is the first seminar we have in a work stream arranged within the ETIN network called Innovation-Enhancing Procurement. So we are actually piloting this together. So we are looking forward to a co-creative session where we are looking forward to a lot of input. And my name is Jakob Lindvall, and together with Lina, we are heading this work stream and are using ourselves as guinea pigs for the first seminar. Isn't that true, Lina?
Yes, very much so. We have an idea that this format will be fun, and let's try it.
Yeah, and we very much look forward to your reflections afterwards, of course, and how we can enhance this series of seminars, because this is just the beginning of a series of seminars we want to have together with you to dive deeper into how we can use procurement as an instrument to really drive innovation. So let's have a look at the agenda, Lina.
Yes.
Yeah, let's start with the welcome and check-in, and we can do that within a couple of seconds. And then, of course, we want to describe regarding innovation-enhancing procurement and transformative innovation and why we're doing this series of seminars, and also dig deeper into one of the frameworks that actually kicked off this, perspective, at least for me and Lina, and a lot of people involved in develop a methodology called demand acceleration. So we want to dig together with you, dig deeper into demand acceleration, and specifically on values and guiding principles for the methodology, and then show you two cases and apply those values and principles when we discuss the cases. So we can jointly see what different kind of outputs do we get depending on what kind of principle we use when we do the procurement, so to speak. And then, of course, a lot of discussions. Our hope is to have a lot of room for discussions. And Lina, let's be agile here. Either we have discussions along the way, or and we will have time afterwards as well.
Yeah.
But we are open to questions all way down the presentation, so to speak. And we also will have a live case. So a guy called Ivan will join us within 15 minutes maybe, or something like that, Lina, and will tell us the experience of demand acceleration from a supplier perspective. So even me and Lina look forward to this because he will be very unfiltered and open for questions. It's really exciting. But let's first start with a round so we just shortly can present ourselves and understand what context we come from. And as I said, my name is Jakob Lindvall, been working with Lina and the gang with development of this methodology, but have a very broad experience from startup environment, the innovation ecosystem, and so on. So I've been on the other side of the purchasing fence, so to speak. So for my personally, this is a kind of revenge to make sure that we use the procurement instrument to really drive scalability. And you, Lina?
Yes, my name is Lina, and I'm also based in Sweden, Western Sweden, and I come also from an entrepreneurial background and have scaled a teleradiology company, among other things, and started in health tech accelerator and health tech incubator in Sweden, and also started realizing the lack of focus on the demand side in the innovation ecosystem environment, and started to cross the fence over to the demand side, and we worked with that angle around 3 or 4 years ago, and have since then led the development of the demand acceleration framework together with Vinnova and Karlstad Municipality. We can move on. I can go down my list here. Jerion, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I am. Sorry for the noise in the background. I'm currently supporting ETIN on a diverse range of topics. So I'm very happy to attend the seminar today and learn, and yes, also engage hopefully. Yeah,
perfect. Emanuela, do you want to present yourself also, not only ETIN?
Happy to, yes, of course. My name is Emanuela Bada, and I've had the privilege of working at UNECE over the past 4 years, specifically on policies and governance, innovation policies and governance in our region. And for the last 2 years, I've had the pleasure of supporting the creation and the growth of the UNECE Transformative Innovation Network. So today's topic comes, as a vital part of our work, because when we talk about transformative innovation, we add another layer to the discussion, and it's important to understand how do we bring in, as Lina mentioned, the receiver side into the discussion, into the processes. So I think it's very timely that we talk about this, and I'm excited to see where this leads us, and it's a pleasure to meet you all.
Thank you. We have Jakob Martin Fixer. Maybe not available at this moment. Let's move on to Mikael Roman.
Hi all. So I am Mikael Roman, actually the coordinator of ETIN. So Swedish origin, based in Geneva, and looking forward to the discussion. So I'll just stay with that.
Perfect. Olivia.
Hi everyone. So my name is Olivia Kasprzak, and I'm also working under ETIN with Emanuela and Mikael, and I'm very, very excited for this discussion.
Perfect. Bunjud.
Hello everybody. My name is Bunjud Rahmatullah. I'm from National Office for Innovation and Technology Transfer of the Republic of Uzbekistan.
Perfect. And Dorothea Fischer.
Or also Doro. It's easier because it's actually Dorothea and nobody pronounces it right, so Doro is better. Yeah, I'm actually a communications expert. I'm going to accompany the ETIN network in the upcoming months to draft a communication strategy. So today I'm sitting in here to see a bit what kind of formats do you have already, event formats, also to assess are they working well or not, are there any ideas we can develop to improve and have more impact. And so these are all the questions I'm working on right now, and I'm also obviously happy to exchange more with you, any ideas and how we can improve the communications from now or in the future. I'm the person to speak with. So happy to meet you all.
Perfect. John Davis.
Good morning. Great to meet you all. My background is in technology broadly, but I also worked in procurement over 3 or 4 years for the UK government. Look forward to the discussion and debate. Probably the next person to talk should be Warren, because he and I have worked together over the last 5 to 7 years.
Perfect. And Lena Holberg.
Yes, hello, pleased to meet you. Lena Holmberg from Lund University. I work on a Swedish national platform supporting cities who want to become climate neutral in 2030. And I also work with creating similar national platforms in all the other European countries. And I see this new way of doing procurement as a way of enhancing the road to climate neutrality by lowering the risk for both municipalities and for companies, so we can move much quicker. So I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. And Len?
Thanks, Lina. Hi, guys. My name is Len Kelleher. I'm based in the University of Cambridge in the UK. I work in a centre that provides evidence for policymakers on university innovation and commercialisation. But I'm also part of the ETIN network, where I lead a work stream on developing the concept of strategic learning for transformative innovation. And I'm interested in this particular session because of the links between my work stream and Lina and Jakob's work stream.
Perfect. And Warren?
Hello, everybody. Great to meet you. So Warren Smith, I'm currently a partner with a company called Kershaw, but up until about 3 years ago, I was a senior official for the UK government digital service, which is how I met John. And as part of that work, we are also co-leads of the UNITU United for Smart Sustainable Cities initiative thematic group on procurement for smart and sustainable cities. Full disclosure, I am one of those procurement practitioners and have been since the mid-90s, but I'm slightly different in the sense that I'm all about kind of embracing new ways of thinking and working in support of sustainable development through my profession. So really excited by today's conversation.
Perfect, great having you here. And then we have Caroline.
Yes, hello. Caroline, I work at Sweco in Gothenburg. It's a consultancy firm, and I'm in the department of policy analysis and strategy. So plenty of evaluations of research and innovation programs, for instance. And I was forwarded this invitation from my colleague Tobias Fridholm. So happy to join in his place.
Perfect. I think, has everyone introduced themselves now, or is there someone that I've missed? Silence. Oh, Jakob Martin, yes, perfect. Are you?
Just very quickly,
available? Yeah.
Jakob Fexer, I'm currently coordinating the team at UNECE that deals with innovation and innovation policy. So I'm a colleague of Emanuela, Gerion, Michael, Olivia, and very happy to join and listen in. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Let's move on there. We have Ivan, you're here as well. You can say hi. We're in the check-in, so you can just say hi, and so people are prepared of what's going to come in a while.
So hello everyone, my name is Ivan and I'm the founder of Virotea, and Virotea was a part of the procurement process with the Karlstad municipality.
Perfect, we're going to move into this a bit in a while. Let's move through in our presentation. If you just want to highlight a little bit what we want to achieve with this work stream the coming months from now and until October, more or less, we want to create deeper insight and provide guidance regarding a number of questions. And that is, of course, how can EIP be used as a demand-side tool to stimulate innovation for sustainable economic growth? We want to understand how government can use procurement to shape and open new markets, stimulate innovation, and engage the private sector in finding solutions. And we want to understand how EIP can be tailored to national circumstances, taking into account different types of innovation and different users. And EIP in this context stands for Innovation-Enhancing Procurement, which is a term we use in the UNECE network. And deliverables that we plan are a policy brief and a strategic roadmap. So this conversation is, of course, a part of gathering inputs and perspectives that will help us shape this policy brief and the strategic roadmap as well, so you understand why you're here, so to say. Jakob, would you like to take over and talk a little, just briefly, about the third generation innovation policy, so make sure that we're all up to speed on that term?
So just to emphasize what Lina just said, we are on a joint learning learning curve, so to speak. So joint learning is really important. And what we are focusing on is, of course, what implications do the third generation innovation policy have on our way to, for example, drive innovation policy and procurement as such. So if you can, you can take all this stuff on that map. Maybe you have seen this one before, but as you know, in the beginning, the theme was that if we invest heavily in research and development, innovation will follow. The second generation innovation policy was more focused on entrepreneurship and value creation, and how can we support entrepreneurship in our innovation systems. And both those are, of course, still valid. So we should not regard Innovation Policy 3.0 to be living in isolation, but let's say it's like an add-on. And we see that we now have challenges in the world where we need to collaborate together over the borders and cross organizations to really drive transformation and drive system innovation together. And the core of Innovation Policy 3.0 is, first of all, to have a clear directionality. Briefly, we can say that the Sustainable Development Goals is our joint North Star, so to speak, and then that could cascade down in directionality, depending on context, of course. But also the insight, right? We don't actually know exactly how to do it. So we need to do a lot of experimentation to see what works and what works not. Another theme in Innovation Policy 3.0 is, of course, the articulation of demand. If we want to reach the Sustainable Development Goals, we also need to articulate the demand that leads us to this transformation. So articulation of demand is a core. And then, of course, learning that we from policies and practice actually learn what works and what does not, and learn also how to govern what we are doing and coordinate our actions. So this is a foundation that we also have had. We have had this as a foundation when we have developed the demand acceleration framework. And I would like also to give Kjell Håkan Närfelt at Vinnova, the Swedish Innovation Agency, a tribute, because he has been very helpful in linking all those different perspectives into concise framework.
And we have also stolen his slides.
Yeah, that maybe we could tell as well. Stolen with pride, and he knows it. But this, of course, also have implication on how we can drive public procurement. So if you change slide, Lina, and you can tell about your perspective on this one.
Yes, if we look into the demand side, I think it's extremely interesting to look at the public procurement. That is around 14% of the Europe's GDP and around 8% of the GDP in the whole world, is learned from Warren's model policy. It's a tremendous amount of money that's spent, of course. And if we can direct this demand also to stimulate innovation, there's a lot of benefits from that. And just as a comparison, we talk about Vinnova, the Swedish Innovation Agency, etc. They have budget cuts, which of course is not good for the innovation in the country. But if you look at Vinnova's total budget, it's just 0.5% of the amount that we procure for every year, which means that if just 1% of the procurement could drive innovation, that would be the equivalent of the double of the budget, twice the budget of the Swedish Innovation Agency. So that is a little bit like the perspectives and the power in public procurement. Not all public procurement will necessarily drive innovation and transformation, but if just a small part it would truly make a difference from an innovation policy perspective. And what could then procurement be in this context? Yes, the role of procurement is in this context is to initiate and support development of new and novel solutions, and also, which Ivan will show you a bit later how that can work in practice, become a reference and early customers to new and novel solutions. This is how we see the role of public procurement into an innovation policy context. And just very briefly, Jakob, do you want to take this one? And just
this is a simplified visualization of the multi-level perspective image, where we are focusing here on the niche players, which basically in our world is startups and scale-ups with novel ideas. And the way to drive transformation is, of course, to find the solutions from the niche actors that have the potential to actually create change on a socio-technical level. And basically, there are 3 steps or phases for creating disruptions from niche players. One is the first, formation. And let's say that experiments is, from one perspective, you can say that experiments are outsourced to the startup environment because they can experiment wildly. And the experiments are turning out in different directions, but the ones that have the prerequisites to actually start to scale. When they prove successful, and there are value chains and value networks that can help shape this experiment into a successful company. And the third step is that the disruptive innovation from the startup or a set of startups actually are able to change the existing socio-technical regime and create change in real life. And this is what we are aiming for, of course. To create real transformation, we need those niche players with promising ideas to really scale and help to transform the society as we know it today.
And what we're exploring then is, of course, the public sector, the public demand, the public procurement role in this and how this can be enhanced.
Exactly.
And to simplify this slightly, we can say no impact without uptake.
Yeah.
This says more or less all of it. We're talking a lot of impact, a lot of the sustainability criteria and this and that, but in order to create the effects that we want, the products that are developed, they need to be taken into use and they need to be scaled. Otherwise, they will just, you will never reach any change. We have now. I have there's someone else is coming in. Okay, there was that. I thought it was a hand. So this is also the theme now for this seminar. We're going to look specifically at the uptake side. You want to add something, Jakob, before I move on?
Yeah, you can regard this as a flashy one-liner. That's one perspective of this. And this is basically our mantra nowadays. But you can also regard this as the frustration that actually started this movement. Because we have seen repeatedly very, very promising solutions and ideas that didn't get the uptake after the procurement. So this is both our one-liner, what we want to achieve, but also the frustration that we are dealing with. So you can have both perspectives in this dialogue. Yes, Lina.
Great. Let's move on. So if we then look at uptake, I mean the scalability is of course the aspect of it. So we just want to start with going through what you could call the core logic of venture development. Is so we have that in our when we listen to the rest of the presentations that it's about innovative value propositions that has a market. We're talking about sustainability-driven businesses, which means integrating sustainability into the value proposition, the business model, the partnerships of a company. We see the decisive and clear competitive advantages, taking the company ahead of its competitors, of course. The differentiating intellectual assets that create time advantage and market attractiveness for the company, and that the company has a scalable and profitable business model. So keep that in the back of your head, and then we will return to these criteria later on in the seminar. So looking at how we can integrate scalability in procurement with the help of these venture logic assessment criteria, that was the foundation of the demand acceleration framework. Our flashy one-liner is 90% innovation, 10% procurement, and we'll get back to that because often innovation procurement tends to be 90% procurement and 10% innovation, and we want to change that. So this is developed by Digital Arena, where me and Jakob work partly, and the municipality of Karlstad, and also Vinnova Sweden Innovations Agency. And now it's also the development is happening now in several municipalities in Sweden, Helsingborg Stad, Karolinska University Hospital, and others. And there is a policymakers edition of a handbook, also practitioners' handbooks available for anyone who wants to dive a little bit deeper into that. And we're basing this this framework on core values, and that is that innovation means embracing complexity and uncertainty. We're saying that innovation is not limited by supply but by demand. This links, of course, directly to the third generation innovation policy. We're saying that procurement has the potential to become an essential instrument in driving transformative change towards a sustainable society. And we're saying that the 5 principles of public procurement, which is non-discrimination, equal treatment, proportionality, transparency, and mutual recognition, are based on democratic values and sound business practices and should guide all interaction between public buyers and suppliers, meaning that the public procurement and the public procurement legislation should not be seen as an obstacle or a big evil wall that destroys innovation, but should rather be seen as a guidance and a help and a support to move forward based on democratic values and sound business practices. That's the core values, and we're going to move on to the principles. So what does that mean in practice in this framework? The main principles are non-predictive control of the procurement process. And this means that if we accept that we work in innovation and complexity, and we need to embrace that, as we say in our values, we need to have non-predictive control. We need to accept that we cannot predict. And we need to find other ways to control processes than based on analysis, planning, etc., based on prediction. Because navigating uncertainty requires processes designed for unpredictability. Because if you make a mistake, of course, and that means that you're stuck with the wrong solution for 4 years, that is then it's not easy to take risks. So in order to take risks, you need to have processes that allow for that, and it's based on that. We're saying that we want to have iterative and interaction-based procurement processes. And we're saying that needs, requirements, and solutions change as users and suppliers interact with innovation in its different shapes. This contrasts against the first exploring the need, and then once that is done, match that against solutions. We think that this should be integrated the whole time, because this when you get exposed for solutions or solution ideas, your idea of your needs can change and develop, and the process needs to allow for that. We're saying that we want to have innovation-driven procurement, not procurement-driven innovation, because these are built on fundamentally different ideas. Procurement is about writing requirements on a paper and then evaluate against that. And innovation is, well, you don't know what you're going to end up with. You're looking for India and you find United States. You don't know what's going to happen. So this is fundamentally different things. So when you integrate these two, which you have to do in order to meet the Sustainable Development Goals, it makes a tremendous difference if you integrate innovation into a procurement process, or if you integrate procurement into an innovation process. So our guiding principles in this framework is that when integrating innovation procurement, the process must follow innovation logic, but also comply with the basic principles of public procurement. And the fourth principle is we want to see scalability beyond the first customer. That's because the scalability increases shared value for buyers, suppliers, and society, and needs to be integrated in every step of an innovation process. These are the principles that guide the work in this framework. You want to add anything, Jakob, or anyone has a question?
Yeah, as you can see, the values and principles are really reflecting the core logic for venture development. So that has been a tremendous work, actually, a very iterative work to have this logic put into practice.
Okay. And the values are also equally linked to the third generation innovation policies. We're trying to integrate the third generation innovation policy, the venture development, and the procurement into one single framework that we then can also share different kind of practices and so on and help each other forward in. So that is more or less what we're trying to do.
Before we jump into the cases, are there any questions or reflections so far?
I think people are eager to hear about cases. No, Warren, do you have a question?
Not a question, but certainly a reflection. A couple of reflections currently. I really like the slide where you had, I think it was possibly three stages, where the third one is the takeover integration. I think that you could almost imagine thank you. You could almost imagine that as a cycle whereby the formation is actually looking at the existing or prevailing socio-technical regime as the problem space. And so when you're always kind of rolling up that cycle where that new the new takeover could in time be, or will in time become, the legacy, which is also then the space in which you're looking to innovate to provide better solutions. So yeah, I think that's an interesting kind of cycle there. And also the point around scalability beyond the first customer. I think from a procurement perspective, there's a really important principle about encouraging reuse first before you get to kind of like an approach which might be looking to procure something or develop something new. Because if somebody's done something that works in their context and it's likely to be a repeatable solution, possibly with a little bit about adaptation to reflect the other context, then actually any policies or standards that either enforce or encourage reuse is a good thing for that.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Anyone else want a reflection? Let's move on. We have selected, for the sake of the discussion and as a way to dive deeper into these principles and discuss and reflect about it, we have chosen two different cases where we have been involved, and so we want to present those and then also get back to the venture development principles and see how these different cases match against that, and if that maybe can have something to do with the outcomes of the cases. So, and both cases are in different ways successful, of course. So we were going to start and look at this one, and now Jakob, I wanted to share the video.
Exactly. Include audio.
Yeah.
Good.
And the video is in Swedish with English text.
Exactly. And now you can see my screen, I guess.
Yeah. And you see where you can add that the text is down in the right corner.
Yeah, I've done that already.
Perfect. Sorry.
Let's double check. Okay. Yes, English. Okay, let's go.
And perfect.
Please, it's okay.
Använda. I stort sett så är det. Bara att trycka på, välja en film och
trycka på play,
så är man igång.
Ja.
Det här är resultatet av den första upphandlingen som har genomförts enligt efterfrågeaccelerationsmetodik. Ett utbildningsverktyg i VR som har skapats för att man vill ge personalen möjlighet att känna och leva med kognitiv svikt.
No, I don't know how to get rid of this.
Can you do that full screen or something?
Nej, gå!
It is full screen.
Okay.
Det här sättet utbildar till djuplärning, för man får både förståelse för varför vissa situationer kan uppstå och kan upplevas för en person med kognitiv svikt, men man får även kunskaper hur man på bästa sätt kan undvika. Det är väldigt enkelt att använda.
Technical problems. Okay, let's start from the beginning. Do we have a clue on how to get rid of this ribbon?
Yeah, just if you don't touch the mouse, it will disappear in a couple of seconds. If you don't, it should at least. Otherwise, I can share from my side. See if you can do it like that.
Very exciting, isn't it? Okay, let's try now and I don't touch the mouse, okay?
Det är väldigt enkelt att använda. I stort sett så är det bara att trycka på, välja en film och trycka på play så är man igång.
Det här är resultatet av den första upphandlingen som har genomförts enligt efterfrågeaccelerationsmetodik. Ett utbildningsverktyg i VR som har skapats för att man vill ge personalen möjlighet att känna hur det är att leva med kognitiv svikt.
Det kommer bli kul.
Nej, gå! Låt mig vara!
Det här sättet att utbilda leder till djupinlärning för man får både förståelse för varför vissa situationer kan uppstå och hur de kan upplevas för en person med kognitiv svikt. Men man får även kunskaper om hur man på bästa sätt kan undvika att man hamnar i sådana situationer eller hur man kan lindra och skapa trygghet i de situationer som inte går att undvika. Det är viktigt att vi som personal är med och testar tjänster som blir relevanta för det vi gör.
Offentlig sektor behöver verka innovationsdrivande i högre grad om vi ska klara den omställningen som vi står inför som samhälle i stort. Och då behöver man titta på hur offentlig upphandling kan användas som ett instrument för att driva innovation och omställning i praktiken. Då måste man titta från början på hur man skapar förutsättningar för det som utvecklas att spridas och skapa värde till fler. Företaget och de företag som är inblandade får jobba tillsammans med behovsägarna för att titta på vad som funkar i praktiken och vad man gillar och vad man vill utveckla vidare. Och sen samtidigt parallellt så stöttar vi företagen på andra sidan med att utveckla sin affär och skapa förutsättningar för skalning. Och även andra tänkbara kunder är med i processen för att ge sin syn på utmaningen och tjänsten också.
Vi behöver nya sätt att leverera framtidens vård- och omsorgstjänster på. Vi behöver samverkan med näringslivet som gör att vi kan få fram nya produkter som vi kan göra till tjänster. Men som offentlig verksamhet vill vi ju inte äga produktutvecklingen eller produkterna. Vi vill ju bara vara med och vara ett stöd så att det blir produkter vi sen kan använda för att göra tjänster av. Och genom efterfrågansaccelerationen ser vi att vi har fått ett strukturerat sätt att göra det på. Praktiskt funkar det ju så att det bygger på behov som vi ser ifrån verksamheten och som man pitchar och som företag får svara på. Det här tror vi att vi skulle kunna göra någonting bra av. Och sen så är det en stegvis process där vi går på idéerna som man levererar som företag. Väljer ut idéer tills vi har en slutlig vinnare.
Processen har varit väldigt lärorik och utvecklande. Att få jobba så här nära behovsägaren gör att vi tillsammans flyttar spelpjäsen framåt. De har gett oss att förstå hur vi kan utveckla tjänsten på ett bättre sätt och även gett oss möjligheten att komma i kontakt med andra kommuner. Det sättet att jobba nära behovsägare innebär att det är oss bättre förutsättningar att sprida det här och få upp en skalbarhet.
Det har varit väldigt roligt att se hur resultatet av den här allra första upphandlingen enligt den här metodiken har resulterat i en så väldigt fin tjänst och ett väldigt fint samarbete mellan personalen och leverantören och även de leverantörerna som var med tidigt i processen. Hur de och deras idéer har bidragit till slutresultatet också. Det känns väldigt inspirerande inför framtiden.
I'm going to try to present now. We move forward. So I'm going to let Ivan in and he will let us know, because this was a couple of years ago, what has happened since, given the focus on uptake. But I'm just going to very quickly show you the process model that was developed based on this framework, where there was a very, the municipality had an idea of what they needed. They went out in an RFI very straight away. No further needs analysis before that. They saw the whole process as a needs analysis, so to say, an RFI, and then they procured development work from initially 7 different companies who got 4 weeks contract on 2,500 euros to develop a concept presentation of some sort, and they prolonged the contract with 3 of them that went into a prototype phase, and then they chose one of these 3 to go into a development process where they co-created the solution. And during this process, they also had, they were asked to talk to other customers and create lean canvases and market analysis and this and that. So it was also integrated into the process deliverables that were based on market development and so on. So you can see the funnel was from the customer side. They went from many suppliers down to one, and from the supplier side, from one customer to many simultaneously.
Just if you go back to that one, what you also can see here is that we are trying to reflect, let's say simply, the lean startup methodology when it comes to venture development. So each step in the procurement process from the buyer perspective is reflected as a customer discovery process on the supplier side. So that means that the procurement process is very much designed to be able to be a business development process as well.
So now we're very curious. Ivan, take the stage. What are your reflections and how has it gone? It's been like, what is it, 1.5, 2 years since? 1.5 years since it was implemented, right?
2 years, and it's going very well. We got some new clients, and I'll get into it. But it's been going well. So my name is Ivan, and I'm the founder of Edotea. And thank you, Lina, for inviting me here. And before I talk about my experience of the procurement process with Karlstad municipality, let me just briefly talk about our company, Edotea. So we've been working with VR for the public sector since 2018, and we're 6 people in the company. Initially, we started with a product that was about traveling in VR. So in short, care recipients at a nursing home could experience a guided tour of Paris, for an example. And this product aims to provide a meaningful activity for the care recipients. And not on the staff training, which we developed with Karlstad. However, the main difference between the products was the approach to bring the product to the market. By that, I mainly refer to customers' attention, engagement, and time. For the VR travel product, I had to find a true enthusiast among the staff at a nursing home. So I got in touch with a woman named Carolina. That provided me with time, attention, and but she couldn't influence decisions. She had no decision-making power, and she had limited access to information. So together we tested VR with the care recipients, and we focused on creating a good product. However, we didn't put. I was alone in the company at that time, and we didn't put much time in thinking of how it could be scaled to other facilities, and her managers didn't help. So it took very long time to gain traction and references afterwards. But if we fast forward to the procurement with Karlstad a few years later, it looked completely different. In that process, we received time and attention from both staff and decision makers. We could ask questions and have dialogues that led to adapting the product to their needs rather than guessing based on limited information. I also knew that if the product suited Karlstad, it would suit other municipalities as well, because all of them offer healthcare, which means our product can be used by others too. So with attention and time from the customer Karlstad, we simply had much better conditions in product development. So we had access to both the decision makers and staff, and in these dialogues and meetings, we learned a lot. So in this way, we avoid making mistakes. We avoid pitfalls and other problems. So it was much better to fail and make mistakes in a safe environment with Karlstad than to release the product on the market, risking it to fail because of too many mistakes. So you could say that both Edotea and the product was in a long training camp before stepping into the ring. So compared to how we did with the first product, the VR traveling, the procurement process was much better. So the procurement also required us to think about more aspects, not just focusing on the product and the intended customer. For example, there was one part We had to present other potential markets and clients. It was important to Karlstad to know that we didn't only think about them, but that we instead had a broader perspective. So at first I thought it was a bit strange that we had a potential client, Karlstad, that wanted to know if we could sell this to other markets as well, and if we had a plan for it, how we would do it. Anyways, we identified some markets and presented a plan. And one of these potential markets was schools. And today we actually have schools as clients. But this might have been something we would end up doing anyways. But because of Karlstad, we created a plan that we could execute. So it became much, we like speed up that process, and we did it faster than we expected. So the procurement process forced us to think in a broader perspective and prepare better. And one of the most positive advantages of the procurement was that we got a good reference from the start. We noticed a huge difference when we could call other municipalities or say it in meetings that we developed this product together with Karlstad municipality compared to the usual ways of selling. It provides a quality stamp, and it shows that another municipality has already taken a risk and is using it. So after each meeting with a potential customer, or if it was at an exhibition or any meeting with other potential clients, we could pass on information to both staff that are using our solution at Karlstad, but also managers. So they really helped us to gain that confidence in sales, but also bring confidence to other municipalities. And that makes the whole sale process much smoother. They also helped us with marketing, and mainly thinking of we were creating video content where you see how Karlstad is using it, and they're also talking about this procurement process, and simply talking about the product, which also gives some confidence to other clients, and that video has helped us a lot. Just be able to send that YouTube link after a meeting, and they see another municipality using it, has a total different effect if I compare it to how we did it before with the VR traveling part. Yeah, and the procurement has been over for a while. So the product is out there, and we released it to other municipalities in January 2023. So in that first year, we gained 12 new customers, new municipalities, and some of them have bought it both for schools and healthcare, and some of them have bought a lot of devices. So we're proud of that number, because we know that selling to public sector is usually very slow, it's time consuming, and it's long processes. But I'm super proud and glad that we gained 12 new customers in 1 year, and it's a lot of because of the help we got from Karlstad in that sale process. And this year we gathered feedback from new customers, understood that we need to expand our content and record new material. And then because we have a good relationship with Karlstad, we reached out again, and they wanted to help. So this year we recorded new content, and Karlstad helped us with the location, props, planning, experts on site. And as of now, we're in post-production of these films, and Karlstad would soon receive this new content. So what I'm trying to say is that even after procurement, they have helped us a lot, and we get the product is improved by us together. Once again, new content for both Karlstad and content we also can provide to other municipalities. So to sum it up, the main difference is that we received time, attention, and feedback very quickly, which resulted in a much faster and better product development. and better sales than if we had done it on our own. And I just want to add that we and other participants in the, like Lina said, in the procurement received compensation throughout the process, which makes it more motivating to participate, as it can involve investing a lot of time without winning the procurement. And the good thing about the process is that even if you don't end up signing an agreement and winning the deal, is that you learned a lot along the way. I remember that at one point I wasn't sure if they would to pick us, but I was thinking about it. Even if they don't pick us, we will bring this to the market, because we learned so much in the process that we were confident that this will work somewhere. Maybe not with Karlstad, but some municipality will definitely buy this. But luckily we won, and today we have a great relationship with Karlstad, and they still help us if we need it, and they recommend us to other municipalities. So a big thanks to Karlstad and you guys for having me here.
Great, thanks a lot, Ivan. This is a great story. I get so happy because we don't talk so often nowadays. I mean, every time when we speak and I hear about the development, it makes me super happy. Anyone that has any questions to Ivan? Yes, Warren.
Straight in there. Thank you, Ivan. Thank you very much for sharing your experience. Couple of questions or things to kind of think about, and perhaps we can pick up again if not now. How does this experience compare with perhaps other experiences you've had where perhaps the procurement approach has been not so accommodating for innovation and agility? So that's one question. Second is, have you effectively created like a community of users through this process, whereby you're actually helping to bring those people together to share their experiences from the demand side, so that actually they could also look at how they might be able to benefit from the usage of your innovation in different contexts, which perhaps might help to challenge their kind of thinking as well?
I mean, that's the problem is with usually, even when we started with the first product where we are traveling for care recipients, innovation and public sector here in Sweden, I believe, is a bit hard to sell, because even if I find, like I found that Carolina that was for, she wanted this, she wanted innovation, but there's usually many people involved. And decision makers and staff, and they have to test it. There's long processes, and they all have to be aligned. I can compare it when I sell it, because to a private company in Sweden offering healthcare, that process is much easier. Maybe you have a meeting with the CEO and someone from the staff, and that's it. But in the public sector, they all have to be aligned, which usually, and this is something new, they've never tried it before. I usually say that nobody wants to be the first to take the risk. So even if we have a lot of times where they test it, they like it, but when we gather in bigger groups with more decision makers, it's somehow, I don't know, a lot of times that they don't end up buying it, or they need more time simply. But with this process, it felt like the whole Karlstad municipality was on our side. Everybody was giving time and attention, and they wanted this. And you can even sense it after the procurement, because they're still talking good about us. We share. Some municipalities are thinking more of innovation, and sometimes we connect them with others. Like we have a client called a municipality, Hässleholm in Sweden. So they bought a lot of devices last year, and now another municipality visited them last week, and they had a meeting, and they tested it, and they talked about how to use it and how to buy it, and I mean all of that stuff. But that's not common. I don't know if I'm answering your question with that, but it's before I started the company, I was selling business to business, not business to government. And the first years, I mean, I really have to learn that it takes time with public sector.
Great, thanks a lot, Ivan. Is there any question? Any other question while we have Ivan in the room? Oh, okay. So thanks a lot, Ivan, for taking your time to visit us. I know you're quite busy, so that's very much appreciated.
Thank you very much. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Ivan.
Thank you.
And then we're going to head into just briefly look at a second case, just for the sake of then in the discussion part exploring the assessment criteria and the principles that we were discussing before. So let's see, I just need to get to the right. Hold on. Bear with me for a second, please. Let's get a little recap of what we've been talking about.
Exactly.
Here. So this is another case where we have been involved. This is an anonymous case. We call it the green pilot case. I just will describe it quickly. We'll not go into details, but just to give an idea. This was a challenge that was based on the municipal directionality to lower carbon emissions. There was a 2-month innovation program where startups were invited. The idea was that the startups were supposed to form teams and solve these challenges or create collaborations that could solve these challenges. There was a follower program, so other municipalities were invited as well to follow the process and also to evaluate the solutions. And the winner were awarded with a paid pilot in the municipality. So that was the setup. And it was project funded, quite a short project, 1.5 years, I think. So it was a lot of focus to them first start finding a municipality that wanted to do this kind of process and then run the process with a very short time frame. But this was considered a very good project. The participants were satisfied. There was lots of learning from the municipality side and from the startup side. But the interesting part from this perspective, when we're talking about uptake, that this solution has not yet been piloted or then, of course, implemented 1 year down the line.
What happened to Lina?
It seems like she was kicked out. Hopefully she will reconnect.
Yes, that was very unexpected. Maybe our battery is out.
It just happened to me as well, so it's more than just Lina, I think.
And here she is again. Yeah, perfect.
Sorry, I was thrown out for some reason. Yeah, I will just finish describing that. It also has not, this solution containing of 3 different startups has also not scaled at market yet. So the uptake has been like ticking all the boxes, I would say, for a good project, apart from the uptake side, which makes it a bit interesting to look at in this context. I'm gonna go find my slides again. I'm sorry, you might have to do the second run through again. Don't you just love technology? Is there any way I can just jump forward here? Maybe it works. Yeah, I want to continue from slide 19, actually. So this is just, look at this.
Thanks, Microsoft.
Amazing. So this is just an idea of another project. And the interesting thing is that if we go back to the criteria as we had in the beginning with venture development criteria, if you use them and assess the actual process, the actual procurement/pilot process, and how if the companies that were taking part were assessed based on those criteria, we can find quite an interesting pattern that I want to kind of test on you guys, see if you think it makes sense. Because if we look at Ivan's case, it was during the process, we validated that it was innovative and it was a value proposition that had a market. He had to show traction during the process. He had to show which companies he had been meeting, what they had been saying. We could like see that there were traction in order to prolong the contract. It was a sustainability driven business, and sustainability in this case was about the social aspect of it, of less stress for the employees of the municipality and better care for them. For the users, no, for the people with cognitive impairment. That was a sustainability aspect. It wasn't like a climate focus on this one. Does this have competitive advantages if the company was taken ahead of its competitor because of its competitive advantages? Yes, that was evaluated. The same with intellectual assets. The IP was at a company, stayed there the whole time, and it was a scalable and profitable business model, which we put a lot of effort into during the procured development process. That he had to prove that and show that in order to get the prolonging of the contract. So this would tick, this process in itself and this company would tick these boxes, and we have seen uptake. Yeah.
May I just add that this is the assessment we did on the procurement process in itself. So that means that the procurement process was designed to take those aspects into consideration as assessment criteria. So companies that didn't meet those different criteria developed over time in the process were not selected for the next steps, so to speak. And not most, every one of those is important, but for example, the scalability and profitability of the supplier business model was very much scrutinized in the process that Ivan took part in. And that's also what he reflected upon, that he was actually forced in the process to present the market plan, to validate that he actually had the discussions with other customers as well. So this is a way for us to reflect upon if the process we used in Experience My Reality was aligned with the core principles of venture building, and we see that it clearly is.
Yeah. For the other one, we see that was there was a lot of focus on the sustainability part, and that was also these solutions. They were not co-developed in the same way, but the different teams presented solutions like applications format, more or less, and they were evaluated by experts, by the municipality, by followers, and so on. So it was in a very well designed process. But if we compare it to these criteria again, we can see that there was not traction wasn't taken into account. It wasn't taken into account if the users wanted to have it, or if they could sell it, or the different kind of customer discovery talks or anything. There was no, that aspect of traction wasn't there in the evaluation. Sustainability driven business, very much so. There was a big focus on that. It wasn't a focus on if they had competitive advantages compared to maybe other solutions with the same market. That was not part of the evaluation. It was partly different thing about intellectual assets. There were seminars about this in the program, etc. And the IP was also it was not on the municipality side, it was on the company's side, and they got help with dividing that between them and this and that. So that was partly taken into account, and partly scalable and profitable business model. There was a criteria about that based on this application they sent that where you could evaluate if it would seem to be scalable or not. So it was partly, but it was a couple of these criteria that wasn't taken into account into the process. So the interesting thing, or what we can think about, is of course, is it so, or was it a coincidence, or is it so that designing a process based on the venture development criteria creates better conditions for uptake after the procurement process? That is like something that we would very much like your input on. So we would love any open questions and reflections, and I guess mention that questions that we were like ruminating on during the process was like, what are the prerequisites for a solution to scale up and create impact? What can the public sector do to create a healthy market? And how can these components be used to drive innovation? This is something we've been thinking a lot about. But that being said, I would like to open the floor for any kind of questions and reflections on the topic. But yeah, focus on preferably on the uptake side. We'll stop sharing so we can see each other instead. If I can. Yes, Len.
Hi, Lina. Thanks for a really interesting presentation to you both. The second case struck me as really interesting, just kind of picking up on your questions about that, and particularly around the value proposition and the fact that there wasn't one, essentially, or not at least a value proposition based on commercial value at that stage. I'm just wondering, do you think it is based on, it was more normative in that the value was based on sustainability and that it was a good thing to do? Okay. Yeah.
Yes, I would say so. And so the focus was more on that than if it was actual traction on the market with that approach, so to say.
So did it come as a surprise then to the company involved that there wasn't, the uptake wasn't as successful?
No, I would say I just had a conversation with one of the companies the other day. I mean, they are still waiting for this pilot to happen. But then the interesting thing here is that they had to form teams. That was not, which was not exactly driven by the demand, like we want this and this can only be solved if you solve teams. It was also not driven by the supply side, with the company saying we want to collaborate in order to take this on. It was more driven by the project design. Sure. So that was like how the project was supposed to be done. The concept was startups to form teams, which means that they all have their different kind of markets going on and different entrepreneurial journeys are happening regardless. And they're saying that if this pilot will happen, that they see it as a pilot as well to check if the collaboration is interesting to pursue.
I think this is a really interesting question to dig deeper into together, because for example, we have a parallel project now working with the demand acceleration for circularity or circular solutions, where this topic is really, really important to dig deeper into, because first of all, we know that business model when it comes to circular solutions might look different than traditional ones. They maybe need longer time to make a return on investment, and also most possibly involve a lot of different participants. So this is something, the question is really, really relevant, how we handle this for circular solutions.
But I think also that, I mean, I love Elinor Ostrom and is digging a lot down to her work on commons, and she warns specifically for blueprint thinking when you're working with complex systems. Like if something has worked in one context, there can be more harm than good done saying that copying that setup of how you design the governance structure for commons or whatever it may be, and say that this should also be done here. And if you work from the policy side, if you also connect money to it, if you do it in this way, you will have funding. She said that had even destroyed functioning commons, because you can only get funding if you design the governance structure in a similar way to some other commons that has worked. And I think this is kind of a case that if that one project has been successful when you have the startups forming teams, it might not be the best for the next case. And in this case, it was clearly like this was clearly driven by the project design more than a desire from the actual customers and the startups. Which I think is interesting when it comes to circularity as well. Meaning, if we say you need to collaborate, who needs to collaborate with whom and why, and who is it assessed as? It's a huge difference if it's the customer saying we are not buying this unless you have a full circular, idea or value proposition, or the company say it, or if I think it's something here that we, from the policy side, need to think about. How much should we steer and direct the companies into different kind of collaborations? And based on what? Yeah, more reflections on that. Because what we don't want is to form, I don't know, form teams, coalitions, etc., for the project. Because then we might end up in high risk of one-off things. Yeah, Warren.
Yeah, I think the principle of like the irreducible core of something, of what could be reused in another context, whereby you're only engineering up to a point, rather than going beyond that to kind of tightly couple your innovation into a specific context. But not to say that you shouldn't do that, but it's understanding that this element is the absolutely reusable component part, but the things that you layer onto it are what give it the specificity, I can't say the word, to the context and the specifics, right? So, and I think there's some interesting kind of points around that. And I think Ivan's experience about being as close as possible to the problem owner and the users of the solution is absolutely vital to understand like what's going to work in that context, because that could be different in another setting where the solution might also have a role to play.
Yeah, I can see that a lot also in different projects where I'm in procurement, where it's more like interaction with like innovation managers or technology strategists and this and that, and not. I mean, the focus has to be the users and the companies. I mean, that's where the main interaction has to happen, and the innovation managers should mainly facilitate that. But often I would say that innovation managers, you know, my own kind of people, sometimes we also step in and really try to run the processes and gets too little focus on the actual co-creation between the end users and the company.
Yeah, they should almost be a broker or facilitator of making that connection as quickly as possible and creating the conditions or fostering the conditions whereby there's that trust, there's the openness, there's the honesty about like, well, what is the true challenges you're experiencing with your current socio-technical scenario. What are the constraints you're working to? What, you know, really intimately understanding that problem space, I think is absolutely vital.
Yeah, but I think that is a challenge when you look at the project funding. I mean, the instrument that finances a lot of these kind of efforts, that it's often like based on which kind of money it is and which kind of call it is. You know, you have these constraints on what you can do and what you cannot do, and you might need to plan in advance and this and that. And then you sit and you end up with a project where you got funded a certain kind of work, a certain kind of process, regardless if that is exactly what the municipality want to do or not. And then it's very easy to get into this, you know, that is driven by project money more than anything else. And it's not easy. I mean, because of course, if you don't take on this project funding, you end up with no funding at all. So it's like it's a tricky trap for us practitioners, I would say.
I actually have a question or reflection that we could bring with us in the forthcoming seminars, actually, because when we started, as you say, Lina, we have seen from the beginning that we cannot blueprint a methodology that is hard-coded and should always be followed. So we have realized that this is more a matter of a mindset when you do innovation-enhancing procurement. And then we have learned over the way that we need to put some, we need to create a framework that is easy to follow. So let's say like this, the core logic for venture development, if that is something that you feel is a sound way of describing how we want to help niche players to actually scale and change and transform, and the values and principles for how to drive innovation with procurement as a lever. I think an interesting question is, could this mindset be applied on different methodologies for innovation-enhancing procurement? And that's something I would like us to explore together in the forthcoming seminars. Because from a policy perspective, that could mean that we could, but we know, for example, when it comes to, let's say, pre-commercial procurement and PPIs, we see a lot of examples where it actually don't scale. Even though we, from a methodology perspective, do it correctly, it doesn't scale. So what if we can apply this mindset on existing methodologies and see if it's possible to twist the way we use methodology in practice to create a better outcome? That would be really interesting to explore. And I think that's actually why we have this work stream, to see if it's possible to find a common mindset or approach that helps us to create better outcome from a various ways of innovation-enhancing procurement. Jerion.
Yeah, I really liked, the report of Ivan and how he was describing how there was so much attention, time, and effort put into. And I'm wondering if it's that was a luxury process, Yeah. If this sort of process was just much more expensive in terms of staff and effort and money, and if it is feasible to, what aspect of this process we can actually integrate into the common public procurement process that there's out there, or if it's maybe just a different way to do it. If the principles that were employed there can easily just be used because it's the same, we just do it differently and better. I'm just curious about that part.
Yeah, very good question. It's been a lot of discussions around this in Karlstad. They have progressed and are using this this methodology again for innovation. But they have also said that it does take time, especially when you go into co-development processes with, even if it's short, with 5 or 7 companies simultaneously. It does take time. But what they have seen is they do think that it's in terms of luxury process, this wasn't too much funded by project money, to be honest. It was some of my time was, but the municipality people were funded just by the municipality, and the procurement was from the normal procurement budget. So it was supposed to be aligned with their normal economic reality, so to say, not just project money being poured into something. But what they've seen is, for example, they spend time and effort on different things. There was another innovation project going on simultaneously where they did an 8-month process of needs development and needs analysis with different workshops and consultants and so on. This was not at all done in the process that Ivan was talking about. It took 4 weeks. It was one workshop and took 4 weeks, and then the RFI was out. So it's there they saved quite a lot of time and money that was then used into the process. As they say, they rather pay startups for helping them explore their needs than consultants, so to say. So it was, yes, it took a bit more effort than it normally does, but not as much as you would think if you compare it to other procurements and other kind of innovation processes. It was more redistributed the money. Yeah,
that's great. Thank you. Good to hear.
Warren.
Yeah, on that point, I think it's an interesting one of how quickly you can understand needs and what works and what doesn't by being very close and experimental, trying new things and adapting as you go, rather than kind of the traditional or the alternative way of spending time and money on large phases of activity, whereby you might only be getting close to the users way downstream. So I think the more the greater agility and user-centeredness actually surfaces insights quicker that you can act upon. So I think that's absolutely vital to, and some of the underpinning kind of elements of some of the principles that we've been talking about here.
Also a reflection I've had lately is that I don't know, in Sweden at least we talk a lot about this a graveyard of pilots, you know, and these innovation projects. At least the municipalities and the regions that I'm working with, a lot they're quite forward in terms of innovation. They've been quite, you know, working a lot with innovation projects and this and that. And there's a certain tiredness of innovation projects that might not lead to where you want them to go. And I think that's why Karlstad has been they're like considered very far ahead in innovation, start to be like rather pour in resources into something that has a chance of becoming something than, you know, 150 different innovation projects. So that's also about redistributing and also like as soon as you see that if there might not be potential, you cut it straight away. It's like that's why this kind of iterative thing in phases. If it doesn't go anywhere, you just cut it. You don't proceed because you have funding and this and that. So I think that's the whole mindset in the innovation world. That I mean, we all know that innovation projects are very important, but we also know that quite a few of them are not creating that much impact when you look back on them. So it's more about how can you, with a bit of portfolio thinking both inside every project, but more also on a meta level, like which kind of project should you pursue or not, and how do you measure that? Is there a possibility for the impact to actually happen, and how can you like try to not put time and resources on something that doesn't have the potential, etc. So I think it's a very, very, very important topic. So thanks for bringing that up, Jaren. I think it's very, I don't know, because we all know that the bottom line is there, you know.
And once again, we believe we can learn a lot from the startup world, and let's say the lean startup methodology, like fail fast, fail cheap. It's much more cheap to fail with a napkin sketch than a hard-coded product, for example. Yeah. So the theory of effectuation is also put into this process to have the principle of affordable loss in each step, for example, so the buyer actually knows exactly how much have we put on the table. So I would like to say that maybe it's a front-end investment that pays off in the long line, in the long run.
Any other comments, reflections? Everything is super clear and all problems have been solved. But that was a good, you know, it was 90 good minutes that paid off.
Lina, should we look forward?
Yes, we can do so. We are planning to have another seminar in May. We haven't decided a date. We'll communicate when we have done so. In June, we're planning on inviting Warren and John to seminar. So why don't you just take 2-3 minutes and just present the work that you've been doing as a little teaser for the upcoming seminar.
Oh, I hope to tantalize. Thank you. Yeah, so as I said in my intro, John and I co-lead the United for Smart Sustainable Cities thematic group on procurement. As part of our working group 1, we developed a set of guidelines which were published in May last year. This new working group 2, is looking at developing a methodology to support city officials to implement the recommendations that we've contained within the guidelines. As part of that work, we've also come close to the World Economic Forum G20 Global Smart Cities Alliance, quite a mouthful, who have developed a model policy on innovation-friendly procurement, which we've published just within the last month or so, I believe. John and I were contributors to the development of that model policy, and we have a shared interest between the U4SSC and the WEF group around what that methodology could look like, and developing a tool to support benchmarking and also kind of capacity building to support our mutual areas of interest. So we are excited by what that can mean. It's great that the model policy is being published. It refers quite liberally to the work that John and I have led. And so, yeah, we would like to share that further. And it was a great meeting of minds when Lina and Jakob joined us for our virtual meeting last month. We obviously sparked quite a lot of interest around our areas of common interest on innovation-friendly procurement. So yeah, it's an area that we'd like to dive further into to explore with you and others.
Great. We have a lot to look forward then.
Yeah, really.
So that's it, guys. Anyone who wants to go for lunch? I do.
Yeah,
thank you again.
Maybe. Yeah.
Thank you again, Lina and Jakob,
Thanks,
and thank you everyone for joining. It's been a pleasure.
This is great.
Thank you for the invite.
Thanks a
We
lot.
look forward to the next seminar. See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Good day all. Bye.